And what about the collateral damage, long-term health problems? That's what medical professionals are saying about the policy that forces migrant children to part ways with their parents.
Team 12's Jessica DeNova spoke with a clinical psychologist about the unseen impacts this toxic stress could create.
The chair of the Department of Psychological Services here at Northern Arizona University tells me the trauma these children are facing will stack up to behavioral, medical, and psychological problems for years to come. These are the desperate cries from migrant children calling for their parents after being separated. Clinical psychologist Dr. Ann Futterman-Collier says this will lead to long-term damage.
There are these very, very long-term severe outcomes that will happen throughout the rest of their lives.
Futterman-Collier has experience working with immigrant communities, and she's not the only one worried. In this letter to Trump, the American Psychological Association president expresses deep concern for and opposition to the administration's policy separating children from their parents at the southern border. More than 2,300 minors have been forcibly separated from their guardians since the practice went into effect in April.
Children that are separated from their parents will have both the trauma of moving, the trauma of whatever they experience there, the trauma of coming here, but then severe trauma biologically from not having their caregiver there, because that will cause them inconsolable amount of grief.
When you speak about a child being separated from their caregiver, this also applies to the situation taking place now at the southern border.
Right.
The clinical psychologist says decades of evidence show this toxic stress can leave children with post-traumatic stress disorder and can lead to developmental and psychological problems.
Increases in obesity and heart disease and diabetes.
The American Academy of Pediatrics has also spoken out against the separation of migrant children from their parents. We're in Flagstaff, Jessica DeNova, 12 News.